Morning, everybody. Just finished putting some gas in. Always a painful and not a very fun process, to be honest, but necessary. Got me thinking about, the mundane tasks. Thought about Matthew here. I'm going to read a few verses out of Matthew chapter 21. Again, in verse 1 says, "Now when they drew near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage to the Mount of Olives, then Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, 'Go into the village in front of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Unite them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, you shall say, the Lord needs them, and he will send them at once.' This took place to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet, saying, 'Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a beast of burden.' The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed." There are no unimportant jobs for God. They all serve a purpose. Now, these 2 disciples that we just read about, we don't even know which 2 they were. They were unmentioned. And at the time, I bet that they thought, man, we got to go get a donkey. We drew donkey duty. I don't know what you got to do to draw donkey duty, but it doesn't sound like too high and prestigious of a thing. They could have thought, Peter and John and James, they went up with Jesus on the mountain. And later they would find out what they saw, that they saw Moses and Abraham, the transfiguration. We read about it today. And they got to do that, and we got donkey duty. But in that faithfulness, they fulfilled a prophecy that was necessary. Because that's what it says. It fulfilled where the prophet said the coming king would ride in on a humble donkey. And if he didn't have the donkey, it'd have been hard for him to ride in on. So maybe there's some things that God has called you to do in your church or wherever it is that don't seem that glamorous, but they're all important to Him. The Bible tells us that the church, God's church, is much like the human body. There's a head, there's feet, there's hands, and all of them are important. If you don't think they're all important, then wait till you hurt one of them. I recently, a month or so back, broke my pinky toe. And while that doesn't seem very important, I tell you what, when you hurt it and try not to use it, it's pretty important. So, and then it goes on to tell us, we don't all serve the same purpose. We can't have 2 heads. There's only one. And each part of our body serves an important purpose. And it's much the same in our church body. Someone has to clean the church. Someone has to maintain the church. Someone has to pray for it. Not everyone can be the pastor. or the Sunday school teacher, or the best singer. Sure, that's what we'd like to be. Man, I wish I could sing. I'm telling you, I wish I could. I like to sing. I wish I was good at it, but I'm not. But I have other roles to play that are just as important as that worship music that we hear and that we love so much. We have to be able to realize and keep it in perspective that what we're doing is important. Anything that you do for our Lord is important, and He sees it. People may not see it, but He sees it. You know, those two disciples that immediately, it doesn't say they put their head down and pouted about it. It didn't say that they meandered around and finally went and got the donkey. No, it says they went. Untrusting. You know, let's think about that. The obedience. Hey, go get these donkeys. They'll be tied up right there. So you just go get some other guy's donkeys. Bring them on. If he questions you, tell him that the Lord has need of them. And He'll let you go. That's faith, folks. That's faith. I'm going to go take something from someone else, and I'm going to tell him that the Lord needs it, and He's going to be okay with it. They didn't question it. They just went and got it. They didn't ask Jesus, well, what do you need a donkey for? I don't know what you need. Why does Jesus need a donkey? I don't get it. We're going on a long trip. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He said He needed it. So my encouragement is, don't question what God has called you to do and feel that it's unimportant. Because God sees it. People don't see it, but He does. You know, we take it for granted. I take it for granted every week that when I come into church on Sunday morning that it's going to be clean. I take it for granted that the offering plates are going to be where they're supposed to be. I take it for granted that we're going to have a song service. I take it for granted that people have prayed for our service on Sunday. I take it for granted that all the lights are working and that the doors function properly. But someone has to take care of that. It is their responsibility. And while they may feel unimportant, that it's not an important job, there are none that are unimportant. So embrace what God has called you to do. And realize that it is His work. And it is just as important as the preaching and the singing that happens on Sunday. Because He didn't call you to do that. He called you to be obedient where you're at. And you have to be trusted in the small things. It's okay that Kevin takes it for granted that it's going to be done. God does it. And help me not to do it. So if you have something like that, if you take care of those things, thank you, thank you, thank you. I promise you that your Lord will reward you. Hope you have a great day. I asked you not to take one thing for granted. I covet your prayers. I'm praying for you. You know, it may seem as a mundane task, but it's the greatest responsibility that we have as Christians, is to pray for each other. God bless you. Have a great day.